continuing from our last discussion about sociology. Now, sociology, again, when we etymologically segregate this word, it is made up of two words, socius, and it is added with a suffix logos. Now, the peculiar thing about this is both these two words belongs to two different languages. On one hand, you will have socius, that is derived from Latin language. Logos is a Greek word. Now, meaning of these two words are socius indicate companionship and logos means to study. So, you can say that sociology is nothing but study of companionship, and where companionship occur usually in a group or society. So, it is safe to assume that sociology is the study of society. Not just a study, simple study, but a systematic and scientific study of society. And out of any subjects in human history, sociology has the recent origin. It was originated after French Revolution during the Enlightenment period. So it is always said that sociology is the youngest of all humanitarian discipline or discipline from humanities background available to us. So it is of very latest origin. As we have said, sociology is the systematic and scientific study of society. Now, taking analogy from human body, cells are considered as the basic unit of any human body. So, that is the basic unit of every human body. Taking the analogy from biology, sociology also have a basic unit, that is individual or people. What actually happened that individual basically interact with each other, formed a group, and this group over a period of time become society. So, basic unit of society is individual. Just like biology suggests that human body's basic unit is cell, society's basic unit is individuals. Now, expanding from that, various sociologists, those who study sociology, suggest that society is defined as sum total of interaction. In order to understand sociology, it is very pertinent for us to at least have an idea about what society is. So, sociologist tends to define what is society. Some sociologist says that society is nothing but sum total of interaction. Interaction means conversation. Now, you remember that conversation or interaction would not happen in isolation or in silos. You required some person to communicate with, to interact with. So, naturally, companionship is needed, or at least more than one person is needed for establishing an interaction. So, it is safe to assume that society could not consist of one individual. At least it must have more than one individual in order to have interaction. Only then these individuals interact, form a group, and then further lead to formation of society. Some other sociologists says that society is nothing but web of relationship. When you see society, you will find nothing except relationship. You can see relation between parents and children. You can see relation between husband and wife. You can see relation between various friends. You can see relation in official capacity with particular employer and employee. So, all this constitute a web, and this web of relationship is what society itself means. This idea was provided by sociologists McIver and Page. So basically what they are saying that when you remove everything from society, you will find nothing left but relationship. So they defined society from the perspective of relationship. Some other sociologists gave emphasis to interaction. Now, Aristotle also says that sociability, meaning developing or learning the social culture, is important for a society because human being by nature is animal-like, and it is sociability that imparts social character to a human makes society possible. So these were the various definitions given by various sociologists at different point of time. Now, basic work of sociologist is to study society not in a casual or general manner, but in proper, systematic and scientific manner. So, systematic and scientific study of society is what we refer as sociology. Subject matter of sociology is the study of society. But again, there left a confusion in the mind of people that what is society? We all know, we all born and brought up and basically lived in societies only, but what is the exact criteria to categorize a particular group as society? Can group of friends roaming on the street could be called as a small society, or there might be some other criteria to define them? So these were some of the confusing thing which not allow us to define society. So sociologists gave various parameters to define society. What are these parameters? So one by one we will discuss what are these parameters. First parameter, or you may call it as characteristic to define society, is population. Meaning, without population, or population just mean numbers of individual. So without individuals more than one, you cannot even fathom or imagine what will be the society, or there won't be any existence of society if there is only one or no individual. So it is very pertinent for any society to be called as society when it have some people living over there. Some people, it could be 2, it could be in lakhs, it could be in crores or any number, right? It depends, but it must have more than one individual. Now, population is one of the primary criteria to define or to form a society. Second important criteria for society is territoriality. Now, just now we have briefly mentioned about group of friends. Can we call them a society? Similarly, can we call a small classroom as a society? Can we call a seminar happening at one place as a society? Can we call particular group of children playing on a street as society? Now, territoriality means every society must have some permanent territory attached with it. Then only it is eligible to be called as society. Let us take an example. You might have heard of one society which is living in geographical boundary of India. That society is called as Indian society. Once you enter into the geographical boundary of India, it is safe to assume that you have entered into Indian society boundary. Similarly, if you go to USA, geographical boundary, the people you are meeting are necessarily part of American society. So, American society had a territoriality attached with it. Likewise, Indian society had a territoriality attached with it. Not only this, even tribals have the permanent territory attached with that. If you go to Andaman regions of India, you will find one very primitive tribe living which were having very long past, and this tribe called Ongs and Jarabas, these tribes also maintain their permanent territoriality. Meaning, even to an extent of a tribal society, you will find this characteristic territoriality present. And this is the primary characteristic which differentiate group of children playing on the street or friends roaming on the street from calling it as society. It could not be called. Why? Because the territoriality is not permanently attached. By permanency meaning, if I meet this person today at this place, say after 1 year down the line, if I again went to this place, I must meet similar kind of person over there. So, people must have a permanent residence over there or some territoriality attached with that. So, that was the point regarding territoriality. So, now you might be able to understand why a small classroom or a playground could not be come under the criteria of society, for the simple reason that it has no permanent territory attached with it. Temporarily you might be studying in classroom and playing in a playground, roaming on the street, but permanently you are not residing over there. So, territoriality is not fixed. So, Indian society had a fixed territory, American society had a fixed territory, even tribal society have a fixed territory, meaning territoriality is an important characteristic for any society. Now, third characteristic is mutual awareness. Mutual awareness meaning every member of a society had a certain idea about who are the members of the society in which they are living. They have a vague idea that this particular person must be my member. They may not exactly know it, but they can easily identify member of their own society. For example, if you go to a village and you observed a villager in the morning time, they all were sitting at one place. Now suppose you enter into that village, you also sit beside them, you will immediately get an acknowledgement by the villagers that you are someone who is outsider. Now this outsider tag is attached to you because villagers who constitute a small society had a mutual awareness about membership of their society. Likewise, if you enter into any tribal area and meet a tribal person, they will acknowledge you as an outsider because they know who are their member, who are not. So, every society member had an idea, mutual awareness about the membership of society. If an American person enter into India and roaming on the street of India, you can immediately acknowledge that this person is not an Indian, for not just the physical appearance, but the habits of this person or the look of that person also one of the reason for you to acknowledge that this person is not member of Indian society. So, you have mutual awareness about who can be or who are member of society, who are not. So, this is another important criteria for definition or defining a society. Fourth important criteria is shared culture. Now, what is culture? Just rub this. What is culture and what is shared culture? Now, in simple word, if I have to define, culture is your way of life. How you live life over a period of time become your culture. So, if you have some kind of affinity toward a particular kind of food, you have affinity toward particular kinds of dresses, music, art form, dances, over a period of time they become a part of your life and it become your culture. Now we will discuss culture in later segments, but for the time being it is easier to understand culture as a way of life, meaning how you live life together. So that make a culture at a particular place. Now in every society what you find is shared culture. It includes your beliefs also. Not religious beliefs but societal beliefs I am referring to. For example, it is said that Indians are driven by collectivism, which is our shared culture or value. On the other hand, when you see an American, they are driven by value of individualism, meaning they are more individualistic in comparison to Indians. Now, if you have visited to USA or any Western country, you might have noticed that even husband and wife went outside for eating purposes in a restaurant basically had to pay the bill separately. The overall cost of food is being equally divided among husband and wife. So much of individuality is there that everyone thinks that if I have eaten a food, I should pay for it. I should not be dependent. And why should other pay the bill of my consumption? So much of individuality is there that they basically pay the separate bill. After children attain a particular age, it is a norm in American society that they should not live with their parents. The children who live with their parents after even attaining the age of 18 were looked down upon by the members of the society. That reflect too much of individualism. Over a period of time, even the parent stop taking care of children after they attain the particular age. They are not aware or they are not much bothered or concerned about what their children are doing, when their children are doing, with whom their children are doing. So basically, they will set them totally free. And due to this individualism, you can find the reflection of this in family system in USA, which is mostly dominated by small nuclear families. Meaning, it is unable or it is not even possible to think for a person that there might be a joint family system in USA, for the simple reason that they are driven by the shared culture of individualism. But when you see that in India there is a culture of collectivism. Collectivism meaning not just my interest is important, but interest of other members of my community is also important. Interest of my family member is also important. Interest of my society member is also important. Sarvjan Sukhay kind of basically approach is there, where you think from not individual perspective but from the collective perspective, and reflection of that is observed in joint family system in India, where you will find members from different generation and different families are living together, constituting a big family called as joint family, where you can find great grandfather is living with grandfather, father, uncle and other family members. So such a huge size of family are living together, where you would not basically have such scene in American society. Not only this, shared culture of India and America is also reflected in its foreign policy. When you see the foreign policy of USA attacked Iraq in 2003 not because they want to help the people of Iraq, but they want to have a control over the oil resources of Iraq. So, individualism or self-centric approach is reflected in the foreign policy of USA. When you compare this with India, after India get independence, we also fight for the independence of various dependent African countries as well as Asian countries. India fought for independence of Indonesia at international level. Similarly, India supported the cause of various African nations like Kenya, like South Africa and many other African nations basically for their independence. So, we are driven, our foreign policy is driven by the idea of collectivism also, right. So, That is shared culture. In every society, you have certain value consensus where member of society realize that over which we are having an agreement. So in India, it might be collectivism. In USA, it might be individualism. So this is one of the important characteristic of a society. It must have a shared culture of its own, which is different from other. Shared culture would be nothing but set of values where you find consensus is present. Among members. So members are having consensus that okay, we agree on this point. Now lastly, fifth characteristic of a society is psychic unity. Now psychic unity is not something which is what we observe as physical unity or social unity. Psychic unity means in a psychological sense you get this impression that you are united. You may not have met that person or group of people, but you develop a sense of affiliation, sense of unity in your mind with those people, even if you have not met with those people. Why? Because you find that this person share similar culture like I am observing, and you realize that you have a mutual awareness that this person is American. So that is one reason that whenever an Indian citizen is in trouble in any part of the world, you started raising concern and started pressurizing government of India to send help to those people. During the COVID-19 crisis, you might have seen that Indians were trapped in different part of the world, and Indians who were living here, despite of their own worries, were also worried about the Indians who were trapped in other part of the world. Government of India was pressurized enough to send the missions to take the Indians who were trapped outside, specifically in China also, right? So that shows our psychic unity. Psychic unity is nothing but amalgamation or culmination of shared culture and mutual awareness. So this brings us to the point of characterizing the important parameter of a society. So what, in order to identify a particular group is a society or not, what are these parameters? So first you will see whether it has population. Second, you will observe whether it is having a permanent territory attached with it. Third, you would like to see whether it has some shared culture. Fourth, you will observe that whether the member here had mutual awareness. And lastly, you will observe that there is a psychic unity. So for example, if you meet a person in United States of America, you are living there for almost like 5 or 6 years, and you somehow got to meet a person at some random place where you observe that a person is speaking same language what you are speaking. So you immediately develop a sense of bond with that person. You immediately gel up with that person. That was nothing but a psychic unity only, where you feel more basically connected to that person, and this is because you got a awareness that this person speak my language also, and because of similarity of language you must have shared culture. Similarly, since the person is speaking particular language, he must belong to a particular territory from where you also might be coming from, and you both constitute or a part of that whole population. So you consider that person belonging to your own society. So suppose you have to identify a society, you will apply this 5 parameter check on that. If that group follow this 5 parameter, it is safe to assume that this group is nothing but society. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.